Welcome back to another episode at Consciously Evolving Enterprises. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Ryan Dillon Brasington. Today's story does come from my past, so I will speak from the first person. As always, guys, these stories are unscripted, so please forgive me if I do mess up my words or if I get my accents wrong. Please don't be offended. But as always, these stories are based on true events. So please enjoy. When I was a young fella going to high school, there was a girl, Simone. Simone wasn't very popular, but anyways, we kind of had a few commonalities. So we ended up going to the Easter show one time with each other. We shared English class, so we done a study group. We're also in the same drama class as well, which was really interesting. Really enjoyed my drama as a young person. But anyway, got to know Simone in our schooling years, and as time does, you separate and you move away, and time develops on, and history becomes history. But anyways, later on in my teen years, 19 now, going out clubbing, at the club in the smoke haze that you see, I'm looking there. Anyway, on the dance floor through the smoky haze, bops this good-looking chickie, and I think, oh yeah, hello, she's caught my eyes, and she's wearing those, fluffy leg links that you would call. They go kind of around your shin below the knees, and she's bopping away on the dance floor, and I thought, oh, she looks fun. So I jump up and I, slowly groove my way over there, and I see that it's Simone. I think, oh wow, I know you from high school. And these are the days that you could still smoke in the club, right? Anyway, so she's just literally on the dance floor dancing away, and she's smoking a ciggy. And she kind of looks at me and she goes, yeah, I remember you. And she takes a drag of her smoke and puffs it out, and the smoke just lights up in the laser light. I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. Anyway, so we exchanged numbers, and we start to text each other through the weekend, and things are getting pretty well, I guess you could say, getting to know each other a bit more. So we make a date. Anyway, the date was actually down in Sydney, and she said, all right, I want you to meet me at this place called Scruffy Murphy's. Oh, yeah, I know that place. No worries. I'll meet you down there. Cool stuff. What time do you want to meet? Anyway, she said 7 o'clock, and 7 o'clock's, pretty average time. That means we've got enough time for dinner. We can go for a few drinks, and whatever follows. Anyway, so I get dressed up and going from where I am down to Sydney. It takes about 2 hours on the train. So 2 hours later, nerves and build up and all that. I get to Scruffy Murphy's and she's not there, and I think, all right, well, I'll have a couple of drinks, just calm the nerves and prepare myself for the night. So anyways, I go and order a bourbon. That bourbon goes down. I'm looking at my phone going, well, should I text her? No, a bit too early. All right, 7:30 rolls past. It's only been a half hour. 8 o'clock rolls past. It's now been an hour. I'm like, I'm going to have one more drink. Yeah, I'll have one more. So anyways, I go to the bar, I order that drink, and I think, now that I'm feeling the night, I'm out here anyway. I'll grab one more. I'll just have one more. This is my third drink now. It's been, an hour and a half. 8:30's rolling on real quick. So anyways, I end up finishing that third drink, and I'm pretty merry in the face. I'm thinking, you know what? I'm gonna leave and make my way home. There's not much else. What else do I do? Maybe something interesting might happen on the way home. But anyways, just as I'm leaving, I finish my drink, my phone rings, and I think, all right, wow, there she is. She's actually calling. And I answer the phone, and, I'm looking around, and the place has gotten pretty crowded now. And I'm looking around, and the crowd's starting to build up, and I'm thinking, all right, where are you, Simone? Where are you? And she says, I'm out the front. I said, all right, well, I just finished my drink. I'll be out there in a sec. And anyways, I go out the front, and there's a big lineup. There's a crowd out the front to now come in. And I think, all right, she's on the phone, and she's calling me. She's saying, Dylan, I'm over here. Dylan, I'm over here. All right, well, where are you? I'm looking out to the crowd, and I can't see you. I can't recognize you. Where are you? And 2 meters in front of me is this girl on the phone in a short denim skirt, a pretty skimpy top to say, in the city on a cold night. And I'm on the phone, I'm looking, and she's saying the same words as to what I'm listening to. And I think, that's Simone? Hold on a sec. Simone? She goes, yeah, that's me. And she then hung up the phone and looked at me, and we embraced in a hug, and I went, all right. And I put my head back for a second. I looked at her, and I'm looking at her going, you don't look the same. What's different here? And she was wearing a different wig. She was wearing a wig, so she was a different hair color. Her makeup was quite heavy as well. And I thought, all right, twitching my eyebrow going, what's going on here, So anyways, I just embraced it. I thought, okay, all right. She's obviously got dressed up for the night. Fair enough. I said to her, yeah, what took you so long? She said, look, I actually work next door. And I thought, all right, no worries. You work next door. Oh, did you have overshifts? And she said, yeah, sorry, I had to work back with my boss. I just earned $500 in a matter of 15 minutes. And I went, well, it's an hour and a half later, not 15 minutes later. Anyway, so okay, no worries. And then I look up to next door and I look at the sign that's hanging down from the roof, and it's a strip joint. And I went, what? Hang on a sec. Lucky ladies night. Hang on a second. She works in a strip joint. And I said, do you work in there? And she goes, yeah, I work behind the bar. And I went, okay, all right, in the strip joint next door. And she goes, yeah. I said, all right, well, look, I'm an accepting man. I thought to myself, oh, all right, no worries. Let's just go and have a couple of drinks. Anyway, so she goes, all right, put it behind us. Let's move on. You were late. Fair enough. Okay. So we ended up moving down the street to a place called Cheers, and it was the setup like the show. I walked in thinking, hey, this is pretty cool. We got some tequila shots. We sunk those, and, we're getting to chatting back and forth. And she says, all right, let's go to the next place. I think, all right, well, I was just settling in here. This is pretty nice and cool. She goes, no, there's other cool places we can go and see. I know it quite well. I work in the area. And I follow her lead. I think, all right, no worries. Well, I'll follow your lead. Let's go and have a good night somewhere else. We'll just continue on and start bar hopping, I presume. Anyway, so she takes me to another place. It's a little cocktail bar. We sit down. We have a couple of cocktails there each. I think I had a Long Island iced tea, very lovely. And then the second one was a pina colada. At this point, I'm feeling the alcohol. I'm thinking, they're looking at me watch going, like, it's getting pretty late in the night. I'm feeling the alcohol. I've had a few drinks now. I don't really think I should drink much more than what I already have. Even to be sociable, it'd be dangerous at this point. So anyways, I suggest, hey, how about we start making our way back to my home area, because she also still lived on in the area that we grew up in. And she said, yeah, actually, that's a good idea. We'll jump on the train. It's coming soon. Let's make our way to the station. I said, all right, no worries, Simone. So anyways, we finish up our drinks and we start making our way towards the station. And, the crowd's quite hustling past. And, everyone's coming and going. And we see in the crowd coming towards us these tall transgender people. They were dressed in lovely outfits, humongous shoes, glittery stockings, very outrageous, tight clothing, very glittery, very sparkly, the heavy makeup and the long eyelashes and the big lips. And Simone's kind of, slowed her pace as they're coming towards us. So I thought, all right, she's just looking. I'm looking too. I'm quite amazed. It's an amazing outfit. Both of the ladies were wearing amazing wigs as well. One was a black wig with this silvery and red streaks through it. And the other one was a blonde wig with black streaks through it. Anyways, and, they're both quite up tall as well, both quite tall, and obvious looking at both these ladies, they're quite muscular ladies under their feminine look. These are two people who obviously work out and have a very manic health regime to stay as fit as what they do. So, and this is what going through my mind as they're all walking towards us, and the crowd's still hustling and bustling, and Simone's still slowing her walk. And, they're still approaching us, and I'm thinking, all right, she's almost to the stop now. What's going on here? And she's wide-eyed at them, she's looking straight at their wigs. And I'm like, okay, she's looking at their face. I'm thinking, no, she's looking at their wigs. I thought, oh, okay. She's just admiring their wigs. She's obviously a fan herself, wearing one. Cool. Well, we're obviously stopping now. And then as the couple got closer, she's picked up her pace, ran in between them, jumped up, grabbed both of their wigs, ripped both their wigs off their head, and continued to run down the street holding both these wigs as Simone's running away from these two ladies who are now in shock horror that someone's assaulted them, pretty much, has come past and ripped an item of clothing off them, and they're kind of like a bit distraught, going, what just happened? And I'm still standing there going, oh my God, what just happened? And then they've come to me, and who is that? Who was that? And I said, that was Simone. I'll come out on a date with her tonight. I'm really sorry this has happened. I don't know what to do. He let me call her. And I tried calling her, and the phone's turned off, and I'm still standing there in shock going, oh my God, what just happened? And then, they started to comfort me, and they go, darling, what, you're out on a date? I said, yeah, it was the first date with her after we met out at the club. I knew her from high school. I can't believe she's just done this to you guys. And they started to comfort me, and I said, no, I'm so sorry this has happened to you guys. And they said, no, look, we are used to this type of abuse. It does happen, unfortunately. People do assault us like this, and I was so disheartened by that comment. I offered, is there anything I can do? Can I buy you guys a drink? If I had enough, I'd replace your wigs if I could. But I don't know how to do that. What can I do? And they said, no, don't worry, darling, it's okay. And they said, well, now that we haven't got our wigs, we're going to go home, we're going to undress, we're going to clean all this up, and we're kind of going to turn the Netflix on, we're going to watch some movies. And they said, would you like to join us? And I thought, well, that's the least I could do, was come and join you guys, and come and hang out, let you guys know that I'm a nice person, despite Simone ripping the wigs off your head and running down the street. Oh my God. And what happened was, ended up crashing out on the couch, waking up early the next morning. And they were both very courteous, very kind, and very welcoming to their house as well. And I never heard from Simone again from that point. It turned out to be a very interesting story, and I still am in contact with Rangi and Troy these days. Two beautiful men that I still really enjoy hanging out with. Thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, join, do whatever you kids do these days. Thank you.